The January transfer window has concluded in the majority of the top flight leagues in the women's game, so let's talk about it. According to The Guardian, we have seen 137 completed, done, sealed transfers across the WSL, Liga F, the French League, the Italian League, and the France Bundesliga. A few more still opened. This is not a bad start to the year at all. Right, so starting off with Arsenal, because I'm going to be moving through clubs alphabetically. The Gunners had a pretty busy transfer window, considering they had a very slow and almost non-active one in the summer, including 2 ACL injuries that they have sustained up to this part of the season. They made 3 massive signings here with Victoria Pelova, Catherine Cole, and the first ever Canadian international to rep for Arsenal, men or women, goalkeeper Sabrina D'Angelo, who already had her debut in the cup game against Aston Villa, which secured 3 points moving on, as well as a clean sheet for the goalie. Speaking of goalies, they also recalled back their loanee, Fran Stenson. They have 4 available goalkeepers. I'm not sure why you would put yourself in a position like this. But they've also called back Gio from loan, who had spent some time at Everton. Loading off that roster, they had to send over Mana Iwabuchi to Tottenham Hotspurs, their North London club rivals, on loan, as well as Jordan Nobbs being sold off to Aston Villa. I made an entire video talking about this transfer and how it benefits all parties and everything that is included, so I do recommend you check that out if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about Arsenal, Aston Villa, and the Jordan Nobbs deal. Arsenal were also included in a massive deadline day saga after they had bid over $500,000 for Manchester United's Alessia Russo. This $500,000 bid was a second bid, but is coming down to be the biggest ever bid placed in a women's transfer window. For United, being able to stand their ground and not sell Alessia Russo for what would have been a ludicrous amount of money, I mean literally a breaking record transfer, is great. It's great for the board, it's great for what the team is trying to do, and it's great for how and what Manchester United is trying to do this season. Many fans, and I'm sure plenty of the players, do see themselves in the title race, which rightfully so because they're sitting at the top of the table right now. But the main important goal that they're trying to achieve here right now this season is to get a Champions League spot. Losing a player like Alessia Russo not only would diminish their opportunities of reaching that goal, but would also probably send a message to the rest of the players. And that message would look like, you know what, we don't actually really care about achieving some of these goals. We were lured in by money, we're going to sell our biggest player, and I guess we'll try again next season. There's a lot of players that have not yet extended their contract. There's a lot of new players coming in, and that would have probably left a very bad taste in everybody's mouth. So for United and Skinner to assure that by the end of the transfer window, Alessia Russo was still going to be a Manchester United player is a big statement. Arsenal obviously could go after her for free in the summer if negotiations are there. But overall, very good window. Pelova is very aggressive, physical. Cole is very technical, so they're able to get different players with different skill sets. Moving on to Aston Villa, they obviously got Jordan Nobbs, like previously discussed, and Lucy Stanford for free. Interestingly, Lucy had actually extended her contract at United at the start of the season. Unfortunately, at United, she's just surrounded by one too many good players in her position and just was not getting any minutes. On Villa's side, they also terminated the contract of Zybil Goodwin, who went over to Coventry United for free, and they also sent out midfielder Olivia McLaughlin on loan to Birmingham City. Olivia is a very good young talent that I think is going to have a very bright future, so sending her out on loan to get some pretty good minutes and experience with Birmingham, trying to get promoted again into WSL, is a very good kind of business side from Aston Villa. Brighton, a side that's currently fighting relegation, bringing in 5 new players, including former Gunner and Arsenal goalkeeper Lydia Williams. Williams joined PSG in the summer and was not favoured at all to play any minutes, and so found herself back in the WSL. They also got Zoe Morris, an American defender from Chicago Red Stars. She is a hell of a rock in the back, and this is a great reinforcement in the defense line for Brighton. Brianna Viselli as well, another American from Houston Dash. She's actually had a fair amount of time in the WSL, spent some time at West Ham as well as Birmingham City. Very physical, very demanding on the ball, and overall a great addition in the midfield for them there. They got more midfielders, including Stefanovic. I rate her very well. She is a very good defensive-minded player that can build well from the back. It's assumed that this was their most expensive signing in, which I would not be too surprised with. I think it makes sense. And Guru Bergsvend from Brand. This was the first signing of the new manager following the Hope Powell era. A defender that has spent some significant time in the Norwegian league and is a great addition again for a very lackluster Brighton defense line. 5 brand new players, 2 defenders, 2 midfielders, a goalkeeper. I think this is a very bright start to what should be, again, the new era of Brighton. They're fighting relegation and had a disastrous time with Hope Powell at the start of the season. They also had a disastrous summer. So this is looking like a very good kind of restart for what might be a much better Brighton. Moving on to Chelsea, one of the 2 clubs that didn't make any new signings. They did sign in a new Japanese forward, but sent her straight out on loan to Sweden. They also sent out defender Anik Nuon out on loan to Milan, but made sure to sign an extension right before that loan was secured. So great business there, assuring that Anik Nuon is going to come back to them. Bethany England, one of the big news, obviously out to Spurs. They bagged in 250,000 euros for her deal. Now, should Chelsea have signed any new players? Obviously, we do know they were involved in this weird saga of bidding or requesting for Katie McCabe, which was shut down pretty quickly by both the player, the manager, and just the Arsenal reports that came out. Sky Sports reported that this is a significant bid from Chelsea. This is actually the 3rd time Chelsea have been after Katie McCabe, but she still got like a year and a half on her contract, and Arsenal obviously selling a player to Chelsea would just not make sense. However much money was being involved here or thrown in, there's no way Arsenal are going to send out one of their best players to Chelsea. I mean, I just do not see a world where that's ever going to happen, or vice versa even. Chelsea selling a player of theirs to Arsenal is just simply not going to happen. At least not in my existence, I don't see it. It's very possible that Harder and Eriksson are going to leave in the summer, and so getting a left back alternative was probably what they were trying to do here. Interestingly, McCabe is cup tied in both the FA Cup and the Conti Cup, so in some miracle, if this actually went through, McCabe would have not been able to play any of the cup games, and maybe this was more of trying to weaken Arsenal than actually help them, but maybe that was more of a league kind of goal. I actually really don't know what this whole deal was going to be for both clubs, if I'm honest. Contrary to a lot of opinions, I would have loved to see a forward kind of join in. Harder is out for a significant amount of time, and Sam Kerr really right now is the only reliable natural number 9 that they have. God forbid if something happens to Sam Kerr, let's say in the February upcoming window, which is very, very soon, and actually 3 days right before the FA Cup game, if she picks up some kind of nick or injury, or even honestly with the jet lag of the whole from Australia down to the UK, in 2-3 days you have a new game, it's gonna take a toll on your body. You need to rest her, and you can't, because your FA Cup game is actually against Arsenal, and then straight away you're thrown into the Conti Cup, and then out of that you're also thrown into the league game. Was it a bit of a gamble to send out Beth England and not get a backup for Sam Kerr? Only time will tell, and I think that time is next month. Everton obviously had to give back Gio to Arsenal, like I previously mentioned. They also sent out Kenzie Weir on loan to Lewis FC. Not to worry though, because they got the Danish defender Sarah back from her loan and is available to be back in the squad as soon as things kick off. They also tied down Claire Wheeler, an Australian midfielder that was actually out on loan from them, but she came back from loan and they offered her a contract and is permanently staying with the club now. 25-year-old youngster has some very impressive work rate stuff, and I think it's going to be very fun to see her back in that very improved Everton squad from last year. Leicester City, who are currently sitting bottom of the league fighting relegation, have been able to get Ruby Mace from Manchester City on loan. For me, it honestly baffled me that she was getting more time at City because of just her quality. She starts many more of the games that she did start, and she gets triple if not quadruple the amount of minutes that she was getting at City. I fear she wasn't being used properly, and I think this move is great for both parties. Not only Leicester City need some good reinforcement in the back, but for her, she's probably going to be playing every game with a lot of minutes. They were also able to get Georgia Collins, who was a free agent, another defender, as well as Courtney Nevin from Hammarby, also from Sweden. Those are very good 3 defenders that they've been able to get. That's exactly the type of reinforcement that they needed before this window kicked off. As well as strike a very good loan deal on Janina from Bayern Munich. The German goalkeeper has already had her debut with Leicester and is looking very, very good. I don't think I had a Bayern Munich goalkeeper go over to Leicester on loan as on my bingo list, but I'm quite happy to see it. Liverpool continuing the trend of signing their old players because Matt Beard just apparently loves to do that. Emma Bonner obviously won the league back in 2013-2014 with the club. She's coming back from racing Louisville. It's great to see the defender back in that Liverpool shirt because, yeah, the fans who know. Another player who also won things with Liverpool is Natasha Dowie, who won the WSL with Liverpool a while ago. Mary Taylor, great defender from Angel City. She wasn't really getting much time in the US. grew up as a Liverpool fan, and it's going to be very exciting. It's really good to see a young player like her in the WSL. More midfield reinforcement is Danish midfielder Lundgaard. Sophie is easily one of the most exciting young talents out there, and for Liverpool to be able to get her now, they've already had a few games that were quite disappointing, and I wonder if now with a few more enforcements, specifically in that midfield, it possibly might add a little bit of a switch in there. Manchester City, they didn't sign any new players. In fact, they lost 3 players. Like I obviously mentioned, Ruby Mace obviously going out to Leicester City. Keating, their 3rd choice goalkeeper, out on loan also for Coventry United. Just now though, they lost Vicky Losada to Roma. She's clearly more so towards the end of her career, and I think she wants Champions League football. Roma is in the Champions League. She's so experienced. She's, won the Champions League. She's captained a club like Barcelona. She's also Spanish, so having that Spanish mindset, Spanish football, when you add it to any team, is just pure quality. I don't know if this is a massive loss for City, considering really she wasn't playing that much, but this is definitely huge for both Roma and Vicky themselves. I'd love to hear your opinions on this here, but honestly, I don't think City's biggest issue or loss right now, like many people are talking about, is the midfield. I was quite hopeful we would see defenders actually come in the window for that. Let's be honest here. Alana Kennedy and Steph are not cutting it in the back. They're veterans in the sport, I understand, but they are not adapting into how City want to play from the back. They cannot build in the back efficiently. Overall marking, defending, movement just has not been good enough. City's already been conceding 1 too many goals than they usually would. United have signed Jade Rivera. This is a very, very exciting Canadian right-back player. I talked a little bit more about Jade and what this move means for her and United on only one United channel. I will leave a link to that video in the description. I talk plenty about Manchester United, their signings, what they've done this season, everything down below. So I'm not gonna dive into too many details here because I do think you should go and check out the video and actually listen to the whole breakdown of what I thought about these signings. Reading brought in Jade Moore from Manchester United on loan. She's already played here for 3 years, so she's quite familiar with the setup and the whole Reading philosophy and how they play. Why they sent out Natasha Dowie out? I don't know. I cannot make sense out of this at all. Deanne Rose, their main striker, is currently nursing an ACL injury. She's out for the season. They're fighting a relegation battle. They're struggling to score goals, and what do? You send out Natasha Dowie, your only forward, who she's not really scoring a lot of goals for them, but she is a forward. You don't put out your forwards when your main striker is recovering from an ACL injury. It doesn't make sense. You need goals. You're fighting relegation. If you don't score goals, you don't win a game. If you don't win a game, you're likely not going to get out of the relegation zone. This one baffled me so much. When I saw it happen, I was like, they've got to have a backup in mind. No backup in mind. Deanne Rose is out. Dowie's out. Spurs spent a load of money on Bethany England, got Mana Iwabuchi on loan from Arsenal. Esther Morgan, defender, was on loan at Coventry United, ended her loan and is back in the club as well. Lastly, West Ham, some pretty good active stuff here for the London club. Got a few players out, including Alex Hennessy on free agency, Claudia Walker out to Birmingham City, as well as Grace Gerrard. They did, however, get Amelia from PSV here on loan. A great player with already WSL experience, as she's previously played for Liverpool. Shannon Cook, defender, this is her first professional contract. Apparently grew up as a West Ham fan, and probably this is a dream come true for a player like her. She comes out of Louisiana State University and has been consistently rated one of the best collegiate players in that US system. Anouk Denton, another defender who actually spent some time with West Ham on loan back in the 2020-21 season, doing some really impressive stuff in the US, and we're able to get her on a new contract. Last but not least, Amber from Leuven, Belgian defender. Again, her work ethic and just absolute solid rock defender in the back. A pretty positive window for West Ham here. I think they had a good summer window when they had yet again another good January window. So I'm very excited to see how West Ham can now start really pushing, kind of become the new Aston Villa the second part of the season, eh? 2 Aston Villas going at it, wouldn't hate it. In my humble opinion, I think Brighton and Arsenal here did the best business this window. And I'm going to simplify this a lot. If Arsenal had high chances of winning the league, this definitely increases the chances given that they are 2 players down with an ACL injury. And for Brighton, I definitely saw them struggling really hard in the relegation, and haven't signed the players that they did. I think they were actually put themselves in a safe spot. Now, I would love to hear your opinions on this. Obviously, I want to know what your thoughts on the window, the players, the transfers, everything that came in and out of it. It's a fun time. January is always very fun, so I want to hear your opinions and thoughts on all of this. As always, to stay updated and to continue enjoying the beautiful game, make sure you subscribe to me here on YouTube and follow me on Twitter. I will see you later.